another Tea with JD. Yeah, I'm taking things super serious, as you can see. But this is actually a serious tag, and this is some serious tea. I do got my notes, my illegible notes. So if you see me looking down and squinting, it's because my handwriting sucks. That's it. And this is the I Dare You book tag. I was tagged by the lovely Amber Eats Books. She is a wonderful YouTuber. If you haven't seen her already, you are missing out. I don't know how she reads so much, but there are some people on BookTube who baffle me the best possible way. So Amber, thank you for the tag. As this is an I Dare You book tag, there are 3 rules. You don't talk about... No. First rule, you must be honest. Second rule, you must answer all the questions. Third rule, you must tag at least 4 people. That's not gonna be a problem. Although I am controlling myself a bit more. I will be doing several tags, so in the interest of not tagging all the people that I normally tag, I'm gonna limit myself. But if you've gotten tagged by me before, or if you enjoy this video, by all means consider yourself tagged. I'm just not gonna mention your name, so that because it's very often that people say, well, you tagged everyone I wanted to tag, so nah. So I will control myself. That's it. Question number 1. What book has been on your bookshelf the longest? Since I moved from Puerto Rico to Atlanta, there is that doubt about this question because I'm not sure. I don't have all my books in front of me, and if I had to guess, I think it would be Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, Mrs. Norrell. I'm actually not sure of the title. I know that they did a TV series, and I bought that ages ago. I'm talking about I bought that in Borders. So it's been a while. What is your current read? What is your last read? And the book you'll read next. I could have brought all the books if I organized myself, but I didn't. Current read. Dark Knight. If you notice, Knight is without the K. By Paul Dini and Eduardo Rizzo. This has been quite the surprise. I got it, and someone recommended it, and I wasn't really sure what it was about, and I was like, how do you feel about this? And he's like, some of the best stuff that I've ever read, and I'm like, okay. I will talk about this more in depth, but this is actually not really a Batman story. There is a Batman, there is a Joker, but he, meaning Paul Dini, is the protagonist because this book is about when he got mugged and the tale of his recuperation. How does Batman figure into it? He used to work as an animator for Animaniacs and Batman the Animated Series. It's a hell of a book. Seriously. I'm really impressed on so many levels, and this has been a wonderful surprise. I don't want to say more about the story because I went here with an expectation for Dark Knight story. And I got a Dark Knight without the K, and it's so much better. So, expect a full-on review without spoilers. By the way, I will complement this with, I don't know if you can focus, a peppermint frog from the Wizarding World. My last read was of Mice and Men was the last one? I'm going to read something after that. My last read was of Mice and Men. It shook me and I did a review on that. I love a book. I felt a bit rushed at times, but hell of a book. And the book you'll read next, I will read American Gods, although I'm also reading Slouching Towards Nirvana by Charles Bukowski, but that's a poetry collection, so I'm going to be switching between both. And I have a Spanish book that I will be reading and reviewing, and yes, that video will be in Spanish. Damn fine tea. Damn good tea. Damn good coffee. What did Cooper say in Twin Peaks? Damn good tea. Yeah. What book did everyone like but you hated? Hate is such a harsh word, and I don't think I've had that happen where I've gotten something with a ton of hype and I either haven't enjoyed it or hated it. I've talked about that I wasn't really into Percy Jackson because it made me feel like an old fart and like I don't know, I didn't love it. If by any chance you think that the rest of the series gets better or is more compelling, I'll give the second book a shot. But if it takes four books for it to get good, or even the third book, there's other stuff that I want to read. Question number 4. What book do you keep telling yourself you'll read, but you probably won't? Hmm. Hmm. With enough time, I will probably read everything that I own. Being realistic, there will be things that I keep pushing out, but I can't tell you what it is because I'm a very moody reader, and sometimes I say, "Oh, I'm never gonna read that," and that's the guarantee that I'm gonna read the damn book. Oh, I'm never gonna read that. 2 weeks later, I think mom at her home has a collection of kind of encyclopedia works of classics of literature from Voltaire to Plato to Socrates, etc. Reading all of that is actually a life goal. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to it, but I really want to. Because every time I read some of the ancient classics, I get some really interesting insights and ideas. What book are you saving for retirement? None. I will keep reading constantly, and there's nothing that's like. I'm not fond of saving a wine for a special occasion because you'll never find that special occasion. That's the risk that you run when you do that. Or leaving dessert for another occasion. You should enjoy it. Don't wait for later. Read it now. Question number 6, last page. Read it first or wait till the end. I don't know how people can. Yeah, I'm an indie writer. And I think it would be like the hugest offense for someone to skip to the last page because there's a lot of build-up going towards that last page. And that last line is something I give a lot of thought to it. And to skip to that, I don't like skipping ahead. I like to see how many pages are left in a chapter, but I really try to not see anything in the pages or any names or anything. I hate that. Question number 7, acknowledgements. Waste of paper and ink or interesting aside? I always enjoy reading and writing acknowledgements. In my novels, I'm going to show you the one in Shadow of the Human. I made a decision. Poetry acknowledgements will be brief and ambiguous, meaning I'm not going to write full-on names, whereas in novels, it's gonna be a couple pages. Shadow of a Human. This is one page. 2, 3. 4, 5. 6, 7. 8, 9. 9 pages of acknowledgements. Because I don't want to forget anyone. And I'm sure even in 9 pages I forgot someone. And if I did, don't feel bad. You know, even important people sometimes I overlook because if I have a lot of people with the letter S, I go like, oh, I'm missing someone else in another letter, so I can miss you simply because your name was written with an S. Starts with an S. I like acknowledgements, and I always have. And this goes back to all my CDs. I love reading liner notes and seeing thank yous to see who's friends with whom. One of the randomest things that I ever learned was that because I heard someone singing background vocals in "Don't Cry." I think it's the second version of Guns N' Roses. And like that voice is familiar. It's Shannon Hoon from Blind Melon. They were friends. Axel and him. What the hell? And I like seeing the people that are friends and the influences and whatnot. And my acknowledgements, some people might think it's a waste of ink. I want to say thank you to all those people, and I want to make it interesting. I don't want to say like just a list of names. I want to write reasons for that. It's very important to me, and I think it's an interesting thing to read because it lets you know who touched in some way, shape, or form what you wrote. I'm not gonna do it in poetry because I will it's just not the format. But yeah. Question number 8. Which book character would you switch places with? Myself and the Daydreams on the Sherbet Shore. It's not to quote one of my works, but I would love to visit that. The dream world has to be fascinating, and it's not that I'm so awesome. It's that I really enjoy writing that and getting transported there. I would love to physically experience it. Um, Seriously, I'm not gonna say another character. I would love that because also a lot of the characters that I love in series they suffer a lot, and so no. Do you have a book that reminds you of something specific in your life, place, time, person? Um, Dandelion One reminds me of when I was in, and I mentioned that book recently, and it's something that's coming up, so I have to go to a library and check that book out and read it again. Um, but it just reminds me a lot of that period in time in my life. I think it was 11. I'm not sure. I would have to check. Mm, and the Harry Potter series, it takes me back to New York, and that's when I started reading it, and I loved it. And I remember so many random conversations with strangers on the subway just because I was reading Harry Potter. That was really fun, and that's why I really enjoy that fandom. People are really friendly. Question number 10. Name a book that you acquired in an interesting way. Collections by H.P. Lovecraft. I actually played a game on GameCube, which is a better console than people give it credit for, by the way. I was playing Eternal Darkness, and it's really dark and really messed up video game. But it's awesome, and it's got some of the tightest controls and just a really well crafted game, like really well crafted game. It's dark, and I'm like, wow, where did this come from? And then I read that it had heavy influences from H.P. Lovecraft. It has a lot of influences of Lovecraft, and that's how I discovered H.P. Lovecraft. I played that game, and then I was like, oh, let's check this guy out, and then I was blown away by Lovecraft. But Eternal Darkness does hold up to H.P. Lovecraft, so that's how solid of a recommendation I gave to you for that game. If you can get a GameCube or find that game some way, please play it. Question number 11. Have you ever given a book away for a special reason to a special person? I've given copies of the Daydreams on the Sherbet Shore to a lot of people that are going through a lot of things. Namely, I can tell you 3 people who are undergoing chemotherapy, and the intention of those short stories is so that people get something lighthearted and smile, and not something that you have to invest fully. Um, and I always try to give them to people I think could use a pick me up. Uh, as for other books, um, um, if I gift a book, it's for a reason. I probably read it, I probably enjoyed it, and I think that someone would get something out of it. I give a lot of thought to books that I give to people. Question number 12. Which book has been with you most places? Uh, yeah, Harry Potter was up and down with me in New York. I once missed. I actually had to get off at Union Square, I think, and suddenly I find myself crossing the bridge onto the Burrows, and I'm like, okay, I think I missed my stop by about 8 stops. That's how good it was. But I travel up and down with those books a lot. Discworld was with me when Mom was getting surgery. the first in Discworld. And I did carry that. No, I actually read that one pretty much in that one. A sick puppy was with me for a couple of travels, and actually helped one of the worst delays that I've ever had. It was in Newark, and it was like a 6 hour or 5 hour delay, and I was laughing my ass off all the time because I had a good book. So, word to the wise: always have a good book nearby. And Alice in Wonderland, actually, the 2 times I've read Alice in Wonderland, I want to read it a third time. Have been on flights. And that's like, 3 hours of constant reading, and I read it. It's really good. Question number 13. Any required reading you hated in high school that wasn't so bad 2 years later? All of them. Anything that's imposed sucks, and then you read it for yourself and you enjoy it. Seriously, I think that in high school we should do like manual labor to use up all that energy and be productive, and then in college years, like late college years, in like 23 and beyond, that's when we should study, because we know what we want to do with life. Right now it's, you hate, oh my god, I have to read, that's high school. Then in college you're kind of like, oh, this is sarcastic, and then you read something you like and you go like, oh, I think I have matured. So, used or brand new? Both. I can have both. I don't mind both. I enjoy both. When you buy indie, odds are you buy brand new. I see the worth of buying brand new, but I don't necessarily need to buy something when it's released, except Harry Potter, and it's just that. Everything else I can wait a couple of months and buy the paperback, honestly. When I find something else that gets me that enthused, I'll let you know. Question number 15. Have you ever read a Dan Brown book? Yes, I have. I've read Angels and Demons, which is it had some adjustments in the movie, and the movie rectified a couple of things that are horrible in the book and suck in the book. And I read the Da Vinci Code, and I really enjoyed the Da Vinci Code. People give Dan Brown shit, and I don't get why. It's enjoyable. And it's quick. It's a quick read. It's nice. People go, oh, you read Dan Brown? And I'm like, yeah. And I read Harry Potter, and a lot of people like Harry Potter, and I read other really popular things, and that doesn't make me an asshole. It just makes me someone who picked up a book and enjoyed it. Have you ever seen a movie that you liked more than the book? I've mentioned this before. I will get shit from fans, but I did enjoy Interview with the Vampire a lot more than the book. The book, I kind of enjoyed. The Vampire Lestat, I did not enjoy, and the third Anne Rice book that I was reading, I DNF'd it. I love Anne. I think she's kick-ass. I've mentioned it before that I think her values and whatnot are awesome, but I just don't click with her. Might have to give it another whirl, but there's other stuff to read. Question number 17. Have you ever read a book that's made you hungry? Cookbooks included. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe I've mentioned before in several videos, because I was fascinated with the concept of Turkish delight, and when I tasted it, 18 years after I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe for the first time, it was worth the wait. Question number 18. Who is the person whose book advice you'll always take? Too many to mention. There's a lot of people that know me very well, and a lot of people do hits and misses. A lot of people hit most of the time, but sometimes they recommend something that I go like, it was okay. I'm not going to list them. It's a lot of people that I interact with that give me book recommendations and that have given me wonderful book recommendations. They see what I read and they go, oh, you might like this, and they're usually right. Question number 19. Is there a book out of your comfort zone, outside your usual reading genre, that you ended up loving? The Healing Heart. The Healing Heart is actually a romance, and I don't usually read romances, but this one didn't have the drama. It was actually a pretty feel-good romance. I've mentioned that book before. It's a very light read and it's a very happy read. And sometimes, man, you need something light and happy with all the crap that we have to deal with on a day to day basis. As for whom do I dare? I dare Brittany, Girl on Kindle Fire, Will the Ball Book Geek, Brit from Brittany Reads, Courtney Pickles, Richard Reads, and I should haul back. On Christy Stratos. So by all means, guys, you be tagged. So till next time, peace, love, and Mikey rolls.